Now recognize Representative Nathanson for 5 minutes.
Chairman Lipinski, Ranking Member Crawford, Chairman DeFazio, and other distinguished members of the Subcommittee on Railroads, Pipelines, and Hazardous Materials, thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you today and provide testimony. My name is Nancy Nathanson. I'm a member of the Oregon State Legislature in my 13th year. I represent a district in Eugene, which is the southern terminus for the Cascadia Corridor. That's the economic engine for the Pacific Northwest. It's a 466-mile route from Eugene through Portland, up through Seattle, and on up to Vancouver, BC. Prior to the legislature, I served for a dozen years on the Eugene City Council. Eugene is the second largest city in Oregon, home to the University of Oregon and a rapidly growing tech business scene. We are connected to Portland and Seattle by the Cascades service. That's a state-supported service. With over 806,000 riders in the last fiscal year, Amtrak Cascades is one of the most heavily traveled corridors in the country. Amtrak is a vital transportation service. Instead of giving driver's licenses, young generations are turning to ride-hailing services, bikes, and trains. Seniors are driving less. Workers and students are choosing to take the train because they want to be productive on their commutes rather than gripping the wheel on a clogged highway. During the 2015 Oregon legislative session, funding for our passenger rail service was on the chopping block. I convened meetings with colleagues, I testified in legislative committee hearings, and by the end of the session, funding was restored to maintain passenger train service in this corridor so that Eugene could be connected by train to the rest of the Pacific Northwest. Oregon is not a rich state. Still, we choose to invest in infrastructure and operations for passenger rail. We picked up the cost of the state routes. We picked up the increasing costs of Amtrak. We purchased and maintained train sets. We invest in upgrades, like replacing an old 1906 rail bridge that was slowing us down. By replacing it, we were able to increase speed from 30 to 70 miles an hour on that stretch of track. And then in 2017, we designated about $2.6 million for new siding. In the last few years, the state has been spending about $12 million a year on passenger rail. Passenger rail is underfunded, and we could use a federal partner. In my district and across the state, we have an immediate need for better service and more trains to increase mobility and to support a regional economy and workforce. There are issues Congress can address. Funding to support service. Oregon has a 20-year plan to expand passenger rail service with up to 6 round trips between Eugene and Portland. Plus, the eastern part of the state is looking to restore service on the Pioneer route. We know the demand is there, and the demand would be even greater with more reliable service and more frequent options. This is the most congested transportation corridor, and it's getting more so. 2, funding for infrastructure. Our constituents face frequent delays, and our economy is held back by a sluggish system. It suffers from at-grade crossings, antiquated switching equipment, and lack of sidings long enough to accommodate extended trains. Commerce and emergency services are suffering from these blocked and congested crossings, and I hear the same from legislators representing rural districts. It's not just an urban problem. Congress could invest in improvements and see major local benefits. And lastly, performance. In addition to more speed and more service, we need reliable schedules. Passenger trains are often delayed. It has happened to me and to my constituents. Cascades has a 73% on-time performance. Roughly 3/4 of the delay is due to freight rail interference. Although federal law requires railroads to give preference to Amtrak passenger trains, there are no national standards for measuring on-time performance, and without some clear metrics, I don't see how we're going to see improvement. We need metrics and we need enforcement. Our constituents are asking us to fix the problem. Just last week, I talked again with a successful high-tech business owner in Eugene who travels frequently to Portland, where the other half of his staff are located. He chooses to ride the train because he wants to use his time, not waste his time. A retired real estate broker continually presses me at Chamber of Commerce meetings, asking me to support and work for more frequent train options and better service. Our young population, our seniors, our gig economy, and our tech workforce, they all see the value of passenger trains, and they are asking for more. Investing dollars and time in passenger rail meets multiple objectives in economy, environment, and energy. It is time to put more muscle into a platform in operations and infrastructure that's safe and efficient so that Amtrak can succeed.